One of the things that most entrepreneurs don't think about is, what is my exit? I mean, here's the thing though, if you've got the exact same revenue for 7 years in a row, your business is dying.
Yeah.
Because that means you become to rely on either a small subset of customers or one customer.
Welcome to Lessons from Failures. My name is Moza-Bella, and today this is a special episode because we are filming in Vietnam. This is the first time. We are right here in Ho Chi Minh City, or some people will call it Saigon. And we are going to talk about things that we really want to share. This is especially, we're going to have Scott Miller. I will ask him some questions as an American. Scott comes here and he's going to have different insights, different opinions about the country here and the opportunities to do businesses. So Scott, I'm so excited to have you here today.
This is a great opportunity. I'm really looking forward to our conversation, and I think we've got we'll have some really cool insights for both Americans that either want to travel to or do business in Vietnam, and Vietnamese companies or professionals that have a desire to travel to or do business in the U.S. And I think we can give them a unique perspective from both sides.
Absolutely. So first off, what was your impression? What was your first impression when you came here to Vietnam?
Well, you know, they talk about the food is much better in Vietnam. You know, it's better quality and all that. So I was expecting to come here and lose weight. But as it turns out, because how delicious the meals are here, of course, I don't think I've gained anything, but I don't think I've lost anything. So, but the people are wonderful, right? Everybody's very inviting, very friendly. And as somebody who's, you know, a foreigner, an outsider, so to speak, it's good to feel welcomed when you come to a place. So.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that, because I believe that most of the things that yes, of course, I'm Vietnamese, right? But I know that the Vietnamese culture is very warm, very friendly. They want you, you know, they welcome you with a smile, and they're willing to share with you. They will ask you, okay, well, is there anything that I can do for you? And they will do extra, right? And I love the fact that they're so respectful. Wherever you go, you know that they're very respectful. So yes, absolutely. And I agree with you, the food is delicious because it's all fresh ingredients. Like vegetables, everything is fresh. You do not find anything that was frozen before here, right? So it's just like everything is fresh from the market the day before, or just the morning. They bring it over and then they just cook the meal for you. It's absolutely delicious. Yep.
Yes, 100%.
So then, you know, how about, so we have attended a few business events, right? As a matter of fact, we just went to the one yesterday, you know, all businesses, younger generation, older generation. And what was your thought? I mean, is there anything, I mean, I don't want to say, you know, to compare, but what was the thing that stood out to you the most?
The thing that stands out to me most about business events here in Vietnam, and of course we did travel to the Philippines as well a few weeks ago, a little different culture, but similar in the Southeastern Asian culture, is it's much more, business is conducted much more family-like, if that's a way to describe it,
Right.
than in the U.S., right? In the U.S. it's very, you know, it can be very cut and dry. It can be very business-like. You know, we're here to do business, period. And it doesn't really work that way here, right? So, you know, one of the things about sales that people understand probably all over the world is, you know, you do business with people you know, like, and trust, right? That's true everywhere.
Right.
The interesting piece is that here in Vietnam, it takes a while to get to you know, you have to go one step at a time, right?
Right.
In the U.S., you can accomplish, they know, like, and trust you in an hour or a day or two, right? Doesn't work like that here. It doesn't seem, right? So at first they get to know you, they learn a little bit about you, right? And then they may like you personally, but then they like you to the degree that they would do business. And then, you know, and then you get to the point where they trust you, and you can do business, they trust you to do business with them. So.
Yes, it takes a while, and you're absolutely right, right? You know, the sense of community is greater here in Vietnam. Everybody thinks for other people. They don't, individualism is not something that we practice here. We believe in teamwork, we believe in community. Anything we do, we want to make sure that it serves the community as well. So that's why you see there's a lot of businesses that they're very active in doing charitable work, right? They go out, they reach out, and they help the underprivileged communities or people. So that's a great observation. There's nothing would happen fast here in Vietnam. At least, my personal experience, that people would like you now, right? But that doesn't mean that they would like to do business with you. They would like to take some time to make sure that your characters are in alignment with what they believe. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's the reason why it takes a little while for people to kind of decide to work with you. If it's, transactional, that's fine. But in order for people to build, something long term, it takes a little while for them to decide that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Seems so.
Yep. So how about meeting with the people? Like, yesterday, for instance, we met with the business owners who were in much like older generation, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very interesting that we met like two generations in one place. They had the company was founded by the grandfather, and now the parents, the father was running the company for a long time, and now the son is running that now as a third generation. So I thought that is very interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then you met both of them, you talked to both of them. What did you think about their mindset and their the way of the way they think of businesses and go global in business?
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I think, you find this in the U.S. a little bit as well. In the U.S., though, there's businesses that are larger in scale, that's lost. That kind of family atmosphere is generally lost on larger businesses. The gentleman that we met yesterday, several families, but the one in particular that I'm thinking of, is the father wants to make sure that the son is able before he passes the baton, so to speak. And it's a mission. It's not just he checks off these boxes and okay, now the son is ready. It's not like that at all. So it's very interesting. The father, of course, a little bit more conservative perspective. He talked about things of how they grew the business in his time. And I think, based on what he was saying, that he expects the son to do the same. Of course, I spoke to the son, and here in family, they have a very high respect for the elder person, right? So the father commands respect from the son by virtue of that relationship, right? So, and the son honors that, right? You see that in this culture very much so.
Yep.
Even outside of business, the elderly are treated, they're the ones that are to be taken care of because they took care of the generations
Absolutely.
Coming up, right? So, but the kid, I shouldn't call him a kid, he's a man. The son, he has these, ideas of new technologies and new ways of doing business. And so it's kind of funny or fun to watch those two worlds collide a little bit.
Right.
To where they both, you could see they're pushing, jockeying for position, but it's a good, it's a good molding of ideas. The conservative overlaps the new ideas a little, yeah, and vice versa, right? So you kind of get a good, you get a good idea that and look, Vietnam is an exciting place to do business right now. A lot of people, if you talk to the average person here, some people would say the economy is, it's not that good, right? But when I look at the GDP in Vietnam compared to other countries, it's in excess of 7%, right? The U.S. is around 4.8, 4.9, and U.S. economy is a pretty robust economy. We were in Manila in the Philippines a few weeks ago. their GDP is 1.8. It's not a good economy, right? So, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity. There should be a lot of hope for people in business here, because the country is growing, and there's big opportunity here. So
yeah, big opportunities for investors, for foreign investors, and for the local people as well.
100%. And I think that look, it's difficult for a smaller country to kind of embrace the outside world. I understand that. Because they don't want, I would imagine, I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine that they don't want to be taken over by other influences or Western culture or what have you, right? But the fact remains that there are resources outside of Vietnam or any country for that matter that can help grow their economy, can help grow their business, overall, but their business culture, which is important to the growth of the business itself. So, so I think there's a big opportunity in that regard, right?
Yeah.
And everybody here is an entrepreneur, almost everybody, right? There's a lot less people that work for big companies here than work for themselves, right? And that's again, that can be a blessing and a curse. When you're a solopreneur or a entrepreneur with a small business, one or two people, it can be difficult to imagine where you can grow that business to something that's more sustainable or more profitable, right? You look at it more as, how do I sustain the business on the short term rather than looking at a long-term play?
Yeah. And interesting that you just mentioned sustainability. They are aware, and I think one of the things that I respect about the Vietnamese business owners is that they are aware and they're open to learn, right? They know about ESG. Yesterday they had a conversation very in-depth about ESG and how to, apply that into their own businesses. And I think number one, they're open to learn. They want to be the first to get the new information. And they have the drive, they have the ambition to grow and to expand their businesses. They want to not just be successful locally, but they want to expand globally as well. They're very hopeful. Like some of them, not everybody, but I think the majority of businesses here, they're very hopeful because of the new policies from the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So they
and from Vietnam as well, right?
And they were talking about
yeah.
that just like, sound like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So, so it's good that, that they share the same belief that we do.
Yeah, look, no matter where you stand politically, right? And we don't endeavor in political conversations per se, but wherever you stand politically, whether it's to the left, to the right, in the middle, whether it's one government in this country or a government in that country, the reality is that sometimes change is good because it brings in a fresh set of eyes, so to speak. It brings in a fresh perspective.
Right.
And, in the U.S., I think that people are hopeful. The incoming administration is a business-oriented guy. Simple. The guy that's going out, nothing wrong with him per se, he's a government first kind of a, mindset of business. So there's a slight change in outlook that people have, rightfully so, I'm sure, right? So that and then I think there's a new president in Vietnam as well. And Vietnam has a culture of, capitalism. They're capitalist, people are interested in building businesses and growing businesses, and it's exciting. I think there's a great opportunity here. I have to personally get to the point where I could speak more than 3 words in Vietnamese. I'm up to 3 right now, so I was at 2 when I got here, so I learned a new one since I've got here this year.
Yeah.
And hopefully next year I'll be able to speak a little bit of Vietnamese. So but I have a great interpreter. So
Yeah, but like that I know that most of the Americans, right, we're always wondering about the language. Whenever they, we talk to a lot of businesses, like entrepreneurs in the
yeah,
U.S. And they always say that, oh wow, they want to go to Vietnam, but then how about the language, right? So just to assure you that Vietnamese people, if you meet younger generation, they speak English. They
yes,
speak very well. They can communicate very clearly.
yes,
So if you need help, find somebody who's young, and they will be more than willing to help you with the language. Or if you go to a hotel, utilize the concierge staff, right? They have a wealth of knowledge in regards to information, where to go, what to stay, whatever that you need, right? They will give you the information for you to make the decision. So utilize them. Another thing is that I have found that hotels around here, they go beyond to accommodate what you need, right? So wherever you go, it's easy for you to get. They don't call Uber here, but they use transportation. Ground transportation is very easy. You just call and then it's everywhere. So go from point A to point B is very easy. However, traffic is a little bit tight, so we have to kind of be aware of that. So transportation is available, food is available. If you are not adventurous in regards to trying the local food, they have tons of other options for you to go back to your Western cuisine. And language, you don't have to worry about it. And nowadays people have Google Translate, right? But other than that, I mean, younger generations, they will be more than happy to help you out.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Most hotels, restaurants have English-speaking people, so it's not hard to communicate at all. Once we get into some of the outlying areas that we visited, Halong Bay, Ho Tram, even the people in the resorts and the hotels there speak English. But then the locals, of course, it's much more difficult to find somebody who speaks English, even the younger people. But that's part of the fun. Like,
Yeah.
I've met people here that I've developed a pretty robust, I don't know sign language, American Sign Language for people that have hearing problem, but I've learned how to communicate with, sign language to a certain extent as well. And the great thing is that they communicate back in sign language and
So you
you
said
know,
that you learned 3 words in Vietnamese. What are they?
so I could say xin chào, right? I can say come on. I don't think I'm pronouncing. They're laughing,
They're
so I think
laughing.
I might not be pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
And I can say dumrai, which of
Okay.
course means.
Okay, say that one more time. They're
Dumrai.
not convinced.
Dumrai.
Đúng rồi.
Dumrai.
Okay.
Okay. So just for everybody's edification, the film guys are laughing at me right now for my Vietnamese.
Need some improvement.
It needs improvement.
Yeah, but that's good.
I won't say it because it sounds a little offensive, but you showed me a paper that
Yeah.
had some writing on it, and the way I pronounced it was
Okay.
not appropriate. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I need some work there on my Vietnamese. But I just invested in JumpSpeak, which is a conversational program. And I also have Rosetta Stone, which I endeavor to learn at least some of the basics of Vietnamese because we will be traveling back here every year for longer periods of time, right? So first few times I came for a couple of weeks and a month. This time we're here for 3 months. And as we kind of grow into business here, and we're not giving up our business in the U.S., we have our business
We're
in the
expanding. We're expanding
U.S.
just like everybody else.
We're going to spend some more time here. And the great thing about our business, like many, is that we can do it from anywhere in the world.
My heart is in both places, in the U.S. and in Vietnam, right? So I really want to help the business owners in Vietnam as well as in the U.S. And that's why it's my desire to do more, to give more. And that's why we are here. And now I'm glad that you understand why I want to do these things. So share a little bit, what are your plans to help businesses in the U.S. as well as in Vietnam?
Sure. So I think, let's talk about the U.S. first. I grew up in I have 40 plus years of business experience in the U.S. And probably 25 or 30 of those years have been at high level positions within generally sales in organizations. Some large organizations, multi-billion dollar, multinational companies, and some small companies as well. One of the things that, and I've helped companies grow in a significant way, big dollars. And I don't even like to mention it too much because I don't want small businesses to be scared away by the fact that, okay, this guy only works with large businesses. What I want people to understand in the U.S. market is that if you have a small, here's the facts. 33 million small businesses in the U.S. I think it's 1% of them ever eclipse $1 million in revenue, or 4%. 1% of them ever eclipse $5 million in business. Look, that's because a lot of them are solopreneurs or, small entrepreneurs, family business, husband and wife, or a partnership or what have you. But I can help those people grow businesses significantly. And one of the things that most entrepreneurs don't think about is, what is my exit? What do I do at the end of the road? When you're 25 years old or 30 years old or 40 years old, you don't think much about what am I going to do when I'm retired or when I'm older, right? You think, oh, I could just do this forever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one day you wake up and you're 75 years old and you still have to go to the office every day because you never put together an exit plan.
Yep. Or what, actually, sometimes people are younger, but if they experience a health, issue or some medical event, even though they were younger, maybe in the 50s, but that would change the perspective of how they would pursue, in regards to their business and life.
100%. And look, the reality is there's some people that are serial entrepreneurs, right? They started their first lawn mowing business when they were 15. Then they had a car lot when they were 25. And then they had a, whatever. And they're kind of growing. They grow as they buy, build, and sell businesses, right? So in Vietnam, I think we can certainly help businesses, established businesses, grow. I've had a lot of success in building, my tagline is, I help build businesses fast, sales success fast.
Yes,
right?
And you do.
and I have an ability to do that, right? Recently, I just worked with, as you know, a company in 90 days, took this guy's business from $4 million to $6 million in 90 days, one quarter.
Amazing.
Right? I'm working with a gentleman right now whose business is going to grow. He's gone from about $520,000 a week in revenue to right now he's at about almost $900,000 a week in revenue. Right?
Amazing.
And I've been working with him for a little over a month.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's because all the systems are already in place, but he's been doing business a certain way for so long that he can't see the small tweaks that you have to make. I come in as an outside, fresh set of eyes. I could say, hey, do this, do that, do this, and the next thing you know, they get a different result, right? I'm working with another gentleman, another business that $3 million a year in revenue for 7 years in a row, right? I just talked to him.
Which is wonderful, by the way.
Good.
Like all of those companies, they do very well.
I mean, here's the thing, though. If you've got the exact same revenue for 7 years in a row, your business is dying. Because that means you become to rely on either a small subset of customers or one customer. And if that customer leaves you, you're dead. Your business is over. Or it becomes catastrophic.
Because there's no growth.
Because there's no growth. So I got him to recognize that. I've been working with him for close to a year. And he just finished off his books for 2024. His business did $4.9 million this year. So,
that's awesome.
In a 1 year growth, he grew his business from 3 million to 5 million. That's with the same amount of people. He added one person to the mix. So, and this year, we now have systems set in place that he's going to step back from the business and work on just growing. And next year, the revenue goal is $10 million. So, these are the kinds of things that we can do for companies very easily. I hate to make it sound so, maybe flippant. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, you just hire Scott Miller and Moza-Bella and magically you get more revenue. It doesn't work like that. Obviously, you have to put in the work. You have to be willing to change and you have to put in the work. But these are three examples of people that have, right? Yep. I know that you've worked with several people. One woman I actually spoke to personally about a week ago, and she told me that her business, she had a problem at the end of the year in the U.S. where she had to spend $400,000 to mitigate a tax liability. And I was like, wow, that's pretty significant. She goes, working with Moza, my business grew 30%. So I had $400,000 in money that I had to invest in capital equipment and things to mitigate a tax problem. So these are called high-level problems, right? These are great things to have. So that's in the U.S., right? I don't think it's much different here in Vietnam. I think the thing that's different here is that there are businesses that are established that we can work with and help them to achieve those same kinds of results. The bigger challenge we have here is that there's a lot of smaller businesses that look at themselves as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, and they don't understand the value in significant growth, right? And I don't mean to make it sound like they don't understand the value of business. They certainly do. They have a good little business, or they provide a very nice life for themselves and their family. But I think that we could work with them to help them understand how to move your thinking from here, just move the waterline up a little bit, and then work to achieve those goals. And I think that when they start to achieve that success or realize that success, that becomes very intoxicating, right? It becomes like, wow, I made a big change in my business. What if I did a little bit more change? Right. I could have another significant change, right? So, and you could kind of see the light bulb go off in people's minds when you talk to them about that. Right. So I think that that's the opportunity here in Vietnam, right? Is there's established businesses we can work with. Certainly we can apply the same principles as we do in the U.S. To help them grow. The thing that's different is we have to go a little slower, right? They know us now. Now they got to like us, and then they got to trust us. So I understand that that's kind of a three-phase process. So, a couple of ways we could do that here is maybe take on a few people as projects, I'll call it, and do some work with them, gratis, for free, and say, hey, if we can achieve this result, would you consider hiring us? And, so we're thinking about a few things like that, and we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty excited about it. So.
Right. So, like I'm listening to you, right? And you're absolutely right, by the way. And those people, I am so excited for, if I was an entrepreneur who is ready to change, this should be very exciting.
Yeah.
But number one, you got to believe that you can do this. Everything starts with a mindset. Mindset is overly used. And I think, I would like to say that if you believe that this is the business that you making, that you're doing 5 million a year or 3 million a year, and that's the way to go, and you don't believe that you can make double that, then that's it. You're not ready, right? So it has to start with a belief that, yes, you believe that your organization, your company can do more. You can do more, and then everybody can do more. That's number one. Number two, you have to be ready to change. A lot of people, they said, okay, I want to change, but they're not ready. Okay, I want to change, but maybe next year. Not now, right? So ready to change, and now is the time. And third, they have to be able. Do they have the capacity, the finance, to invest? If we say, hey, you need to hire more people, you need to invest in branding and marketing, do they believe in it? And yes, do they have the capacity to invest in those activities?
Yeah. Yes, I mean...
And training. Oh, and by the way, training. And I believe, when I talk to some of the companies, they said, okay, well, we have the orientation, we have the training in place. But how often you train your employees? Maybe once a year or you can just send them the information and then they just train on their own. Just like I said, we did a workshop yesterday for a big company here, and I said that the knowledge is useless unless it can be applied, right? So everything that you learn today, make sure that you take notes and then review. Because right now what I'm teaching you is my knowledge, it's not yours. You got to write it down, you have to make it yours, and then tomorrow morning you have to start applying. Otherwise, it's going to be useless. And all the time that people put in, all the money that people, the company invest in you, it's going to become useless if you don't put that in practice every single day. And I believe that training has to be daily. You got to be daily, right? It has to be sharpened, like all of that. And I don't think that is something that the Vietnamese businesses do yet. Even in the US, I don't think that a lot of businesses do, some, but not everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, a lot of businesses are guilty of hiring people, put them through a training, which is, a couple of days to a week, and then send them out into the world, go get them, tiger, kind of a thing, right? And and some people embrace that and do well, and other people don't do well, right? Yeah. But you look at it this way, right? It's if you decide, January 1st is just come and went, right? So if one of your goals for the new year was to lose weight, and okay, January 1st, you got up, you made a big bowl of salad, you ate the salad, you went to the gym and worked out one time, and then you went home and sat on the couch and waited for the result. It doesn't work like that. Like, you don't wake up tomorrow and weigh 20 pounds less. It doesn't work. You have to eat the salad every day for, make it a lifestyle change, right? You have to go to the gym or go for a walk or get some exercise every day.
Yeah.
That's when you would lose weight, right? It's the same thing with, saving money, for instance. If you wanted to have a goal of save up a certain amount of money, that day you decide you can't put $5 into the bank account and then never put another penny in there. You have to continually, grow that investment, make it an investment and grow it, right? You can't just do it one time and expect a result. So it's the same thing with training, right? One of the reasons why I've been so successful at business is for 40 years, I train nonstop.
Absolutely.
Because you watch me and, I read 3 books at a time. Yep. I read a hardcover book, I read a Kindle book, a digital book, and I listen to an audio book.
Right.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got 3 books going all the time, and because of that, I read a lot of books every year. Some of them, I read them, I get nothing from them. Some of them I read halfway through and I'm not interested, so I put it on the shelf and I pick another one. But what I've learned is over the years, if I just take one thing, if I get one little nugget from that and I put it into practice, which is something you just alluded to, that's where the change takes place. That's where you get a different outcome, mm-hmm. right? And you have to have a plan as well, right? So if you want your business to grow a certain amount, or you want to improve your employees' knowledge by a certain percentage, you have to have a plan. What is the plan? Okay, we're going to do this training, and we're going to do it every single day mm-hmm. for the entire year. Mm-hmm. We're going to do role playing with our sales staff. Mm-hmm. They're going to role play every morning for 30 minutes or 15 minutes before they start making calls or go out on the road to make calls to prospective and existing clients, right? And it has to become a habitual thing. Yeah. If it doesn't, then you can't expect to get a great result, right? And you can't expect people to change by doing something one time, right? So,
and share testimonials, right? You have like great stories, like great success stories, like share every single day, and that would motivate everybody to work harder. So, I think that's great. So, I think to wrap it up, what would be one thing that you would like to tell to people who are watching here? What would be one thing that you would like to share with them?
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to be able to talk directly to the audience, I would say, the American audience, engage us. We've got a tremendous amount of business experience. we can help grow your business. We've done it for a lot of people, and we'll continue to do it, you know, this year and beyond. For the Vietnamese audience, I would say the same thing in a different way. The way I would say for the Vietnamese audience is, you know, give us an opportunity to talk to you about how we would do this. Let's take it one step at a time, right? Let's take it slowly and you know, let us give you some of our knowledge. You share some of the things that you've been doing that work in your business. We'll share some things that we know that work in business. Put those two things together and see what happens, you know.
Yep.
And, you know, it all starts with the owner or the leadership of a company has to first recognize that they have an issue. And if you've had no growth in your business, or the business, as in some instances, have gone down, you know, that's a key indicator. That is telling you a very certain thing. And that's not a flat or down is not a good story, right? You want to be going up. So
yeah, that applies to everybody.
That applies to everybody.
So thank you for joining us today. And again, Lessons from Failures. My name is Moza-Bella, and this is Scott Miller. And thank you for being here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you subscribe on this channel. And my apology that we haven't had time to put a lot of videos out, but I promise you that we will do our best. Now, especially when we have a great team here, you know, everybody behind the camera, and they do a lot of settings. Like, you know, it looks simple, but that's involved a lot of work. Like, again, I cannot do everything by myself. We need a team, and we do have a great team. So, my promise is that we're going to try to do more till I can provide more and share more information about businesses. I believe that this is 2025 is the year for you to shine. So keep growing and keep being impactful, because everybody needs you. And this year is going to be a great year of success and happiness. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.